So, hi everyone, welcome to the Kalwas channel. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. So, today we will be having very interesting roundtable discussion. That is, the title is the challenges in conducting an academic research. So, today we have very renowned speaker in this session, and we will be taking advantage of their experiences, exposure, and how did they tackle the different problems, what they will have to recommend you as a tips for your PhD problems or in your master research degree, how to overcome these problems in a more efficient and effective way. So let me introduce our respected guests first. So today we have this first distinguished guest speaker, that is Dr. Maiza. She is a senior assistant, a senior lecturer at University Technology Malaysia. This is second time we have invited her, and she is so kind and generous that she give a time out of her busy schedule. Welcome to the show again, Dr. Maiza. So let me just go through her profile. She has more than 12 years experience in teaching and academia. Dr. Maiza hold a PhD in Islamic economic from the University of Malaya, MSc in banking and BBA in finance. She is also certified Islamic financial planner in Malaysia 2019. She completed her postdoc research study at International Islamic University Malaysia. Dr. Maiza has also co-authored and authored more than 60 research papers, the book chapters for business, and she is also involved in multiple research projects. She conducts workshops, seminars, and attended multiple conferences as a session chair. She has been awarded with number of academic honors and awards, right from Award of Excellence to the winner of 3-minute thesis competition in University Malaya in 2013. And her research interest area are Islamic banking and finance, the takaful, the Islamic economy, Islamic marketing, behavioral finance, and consumer behavior. So, welcome to the Calvas platform again, madam, and thank you for joining us. So, let me introduce our second respected guest speaker, who is Dr. Shahab Aziz. He's an assistant professor at Behriya Business School in Behriya University, Islamabad. And this is third time we had invited him, and he was so kind enough that he could also spare a time for us, and he's so generous in that. Okay, let me just tell you about his credentials. He has obtained his PhD from University Technology Malaysia, UTM. He has over than 11 years experience in academia as well as in industry. He has published several research articles, including Impact Factor, the ISI Scopus Index, as well as in HEC recognized journals. In addition to this, he is well equipped with the both qualitative and quantitative research methods and data analysis techniques using Smart PLS. He has also participated at several international conferences, and his research interest area are Islamic banking and finance. Welcome back to the Kalwas, Dr. Shahab, and thank you for joining us. Okay, let me introduce the third guest speaker, that is Dr. Sana Arus. She is assistant professor at Management Sciences Department of Bahrain Business School. She is an active researcher and practitioner in the field of organizational psychology. She has been serving different corporate and public sector organizations for the past 9 years at both level, the national and international level, and she worked in the domain of HR as well as OD, and she has been working in the area of behavior modification, culture development, stress management, and emotional intelligence. Moreover to that, she has been serving as a faculty to the different business schools in Pakistan for the past 8 years. Not to mention, Inequisite's writer on employee attitude, the behavior, having research publication in superior journals, and currently she is also a co-head of the Knowledge Center Organization Behavior at Bahrain University, Islamabad. Welcome, madam, and thank you for joining us. And the fourth speaker we have is the Miss Sovia Shujar. She is an associate with the Bahrain University since 2006. She is a senior assistant professor in business studies department with a focus on marketing, curriculum, and research. She is currently looking after the quality assurance affair as its deputy director. She has an MPhil in management sciences and pursuing PhD with a focus on marketing, with which is at in final stages of the completion. Soon, inshallah, she will be a PhD doctor. She has a numerous research publication in marketing and human resource management to her credit. She is also associated with the National Business Education Accreditation Council, that is called NBEC, as an accreditation reviewer. Ms. Sobia has a passion for bringing about customer orientation in the industry through suggestions, improvement in the organizational culture, management styles, etc. Her diverse exposure has helped her gain a profound understanding to the customer service industry, and she provides consultancy to the different organizations. While the research area, the main focus of her research has been on exploring the ways of improving overall customer service that shape customer experiences across the industry, especially the retail settings. Welcome, Ms. Sobia Shujar, to the Kalwas, and
Thank you.
thank you for joining us and sparing your precious time. Lastly, I'm the Dr. Haider Shah. I work as a senior assistant professor at Bahrain Business School, and I did my PhD from University of Malaya, and since then I'm serving the Bahrain University. So I'm really excited to hear wonderful piece of advice and tips from the such renowned speaker. So without any wasting time, let me just start formally. So let me just ask the first question from the our guest speaker, Dr. Maiza. That the first question the research student they want to ask that when is the right time to do a PhD? How much experience of industry or what is the role of experience of industry in academic research?
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Very good evening, everyone. It's evening here in Lumpur. Thank you very much, Dr. Heidi, for inviting and for the great introduction. To answer your questions, when is the right time and how much experience do you need in order for you to, have at least have a wonderful journey in PhD journey, when is the right time for you to do that. So basically, to answer that questions, there is no, there is no specific time, there is no specific age where you can join a PhD degree. I have students who are just graduated from a master's degree and straight away do their PhDs. I also have students who are currently towards the retirement age, and he is also interested in doing PhD. So talking about the right time, I don't think there is a right time, the right age, I mean, but you need to make sure that you are ready enough to join the program. So ready can be, there are many different definition of ready. You need to be uh, you need to have a required skill. You need to make sure that you are you are um, ready enough in a way that, because PhD is a very long journey. So that's my answer for that particular questions. Dr. Haidir, I think you are currently in mute. You need
Yeah,
to unmute
Dr.
yourself.
Heather, you are
Yes.
muted. Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
yes. Okay, sorry for that. Yes, Dr. Shah, what's your take on that? When is the right time to do a PhD? And do you think the industry experience will be beneficial in academic environment?
Yeah. To your second question, yes, obviously, if you're carrying industry experience, obviously it helps you out to make your student understand a lot of concept because at times, theory and practice vary quite a lot. So if you are bringing in practical industry experience to academia, that's always helpful, right? There's no substitute of experience. So uh, regarding your first question, I will second Dr. Maiza. I'll continue on that. Um, there are two school of thoughts. Some people say that you should do it straight away, right? Because when there is a gap in your studies and uh, coming back again to your studies, it's not easy because maybe you're stuck in your job, family. There are a lot of things comes in if you delay that. Then I think you need a lot of motivation. If you have a gap in between, then I think the energy level needs to be a lot higher to come back to your studies again. But if you're doing it in a stretch, in a one go, maybe that's better for some student. But again, it's the question of how mentally strong you are, how motivated you are for your study. Like
Yeah.
I started my PhD after a gap of I think 4 or 5 years. Right,
Yes.
I left the university. I joined the banking sector, and then I worked in banking sector, and then again I joined the university for my higher studies. A lot of people, a lot of my colleagues were talking at that time that we will study, we will join with you, but nobody did that. So
Yeah.
if you are in a job and then coming back to your studies, that's I think that's very difficult
Important.
time, and maybe it's more risky as well because you have a job, maybe you have to quit your job as well, and then you have to enter into PhD. Again, you have to spend 3 4 years. Then you have to be good enough to join academia. So coming from job again to studies, yes, it's I think it's a bit tough, and maybe you're bringing in more skills to your studies. I mean, maybe, but again, that's a question mark.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I think I should wind up in a way that it's your own motivation, how motivated you are, and how skillful you are, how much financially stable you are, and the mentors. The mentor matter a lot. What type of people surrounds you, where you sit, who you talk, who are your um, friends and stuff like that. I think these are the important things. You can do in a stretch, you can do after some experience. It's your
Yes.
personal choice. So there are a lot of things that you have to bring into this.
This, yes, perfectly answered. Very well. Thank you, Dr. Shahab. Okay, let me ask the Madam Sobia Shujat. Since you have been associated with the Bahria Business School 2006, it's been a very long time. You are currently a PhD scholar as well, and you are teaching as well, and you are looking after the quality assurance department as well. So the question which I want to ask the student, they are asking a lot, that what is your experience and what do you have to say that the role of network, by they say that whether as a PhD candidate should we go to the different conferences, seminars, or attend the workshop? Is it useful as a PhD student? If yes, it is not too expensive.
Um, it's a very good question, a very important question that needs to be addressed. I would say yes, it is very important that one should have a good network of researchers, and rather should have a grasp over the research methodology before starting PhD. Because students at times they start PhD and then they search for research methodologies and techniques and topics and a lot of things. So I think that the right answering your previous question, also linking it to it, that the right time is once you are mentally ready, once you have enough knowledge, enough resources, and enough motivation, because motivation is very important. When we talk about research in higher education, that means you would be under constant pressure. So when you are ready to take that pressure, only then you should pursue towards a PhD degree. As far as conferences are concerned, yes, it is very very important for the scholars, either they are PhD scholars or they are MS scholars, to be in touch with all the latest researches, to know what is going around, to create linkages, to attend different conferences and gain all the required knowledge. That is definitely going to help out through all stages of their research.
Yes. And this is how we say that we got to know each other, the different speakers, how did they solve their
Yes.
problem. Yeah,
And
and this is how
how
we.
research is taking place around the world.
Yes,
We
wonderful.
have to come out of that
Yes,
well, and we have to see कि how things are going around the world. Only national
yes,
perspective is not enough. We have to make ties with international researchers at whatever
yes.
level possible, either through our institutions or individually.
Yeah, very wonderful answered this question. That yes, the role of the network is very much important in academia. because that's how we link and that's how we come to know about the different supervisor, experts, professionals, and then we start working with them in collaboration, the different research projects, etc. So yeah, I hope the question has been answered properly. Dr. Sana, can you hear us properly? Okay. I think there is a bit issue with that. Okay, let me just ask Dr. Maiza. There is another question of the student, the PhD student, that research is looking at things through different lens. So, how to establish your perspective for that purpose? Because everybody they look to the problem in a different way. So, which lens through which you are looking at? So, how to establish your perspective and convince the examiners on that?
Okay. It's quite a tricky question basically because yeah, like
Yes.
you mentioned earlier, different person have different perspective, and you
Yeah.
know, one person to another person, they might have different experience, different
True.
knowledge. In
Yeah.
fact, not everybody might understand the same problem in the same way.
Mm.
So to answer that question, basically, that's the reason why a PhD student, need to communicate with the supervisor regularly because
Yes.
sometimes a student might also have different opinion with the supervisor, and that's one thing. Another thing is that the examiners, maybe for the proposal defense, for the for the viva, although if the students presented papers in the conferences, in the training, for example, so different opinions might occur. So that's the reason
Mm.
why, to answer your previous question as well, attending training, attending conferences is important. By having
Yes.
different opinion, by having different perspective for your own study, it might open your mind.
True.
um, that's one thing. Another thing is that by having your supervisor, by closely, by closely having a relationship in a way that you regularly meet your supervisor, either virtually or face to face. So by having
Yeah.
that, you're able to close the gap. I mean the
Yes.
gap in terms of the discrepancies between the ideas, between the what is the differences between this and that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my answer for that question.
Yeah, very well answered, Dr. Maiza. And this is, I think, is the beauty of the research that when you present your work, whether in conferences or a different colloquium or in the seminars, you get to know what are the different perspective of different speakers or experts on that, and then you start improving your work for that purpose. So I totally agree with you that we must consider the other perspective as well, but at the same time we have to establish our own perspective with the reasons, with the latest references as well. Yeah, thank you very much for the answer. Dr. Sana, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, there is one question for you, that
Sure.
how to understand which topic is good enough to start work on and what is the standard for that?
Okay. The question is very valid and relevant, specifically for those students who have yet started their work. So, what I would suggest that usually I narrate this with a story. There is a movie called Alice in the Wonderland. So, the cat asks Alice that, "Where do you want to go?" So her response is that I don't know. So if you don't know where you want to go, whatever path you're taking, it won't make any difference. So the
Yeah.
first thing which any researcher, student at any level would should initiate with is that they should be clear where to start from. And where to
Yeah.
start from is, first of all, they usually, what happens, the student feels they are lost. What is the
True.
reason behind it? Because the topic or the research area which they have chosen, that is too broad.
True.
So the first thing is that they should write it down, that this is what I want to do. When they start thinking about it, when they start actually reading about it. So there is one issue which they are going to face, which the student initially does not realize, is operationalization of the idea. We
Wonderful.
do have ideas, we do look into the practical problems, but when it comes to the methodology, then we are actually faced with the issue of operationalization. So they should, now this is the point where the student should narrow down their work, be
True.
very specific with your work. And your question was how to choose a topic. For me, topic comes a bit later, even with
Mm.
the defense, or some, we even have suggestions that you should revise your topic. So I would just rephrase it, is that how should I determine that this is my research area? So the first suggestion which I would give is that you should narrow down your research idea, do something
Yes.
which is doable. The second suggestion which I would give to our dear students is that um, do something which is relevant
True.
with your work, because eventually you will have to live with the topic for at least, if you're doing an MS degree, top 2 saal you will have to spend with it. And if you're actually doing a PhD, so you will have to live with that for at least 3 to 4 or maybe 5 years. You will also have to see that is it latest or not, because the topic will have to remain in the research for good 5 to 10 years. You may
Yes.
also face the issue that after 5 years, you may get to know that the topic is no more required or is
Mm.
getting obsolete. So start with whatever is latest.
True.
You
Very
might
nice.
also come across people who say we haven't heard something about it, and if you get to know from a student that there is no literature available on it, there are two reasons. Either
Yes.
there is no need to study. Don't confuse it with that this is very this is a gap, no one has worked on it, that is why there is nothing over there. Don't confuse it. I would say it again, maybe there is no need of it. So you
Yes.
have to be very clear that the research gap is relevant and latest. And the first thing which that is your interest. If you will not buy your topic, if you won't buy your research area, then you won't be able to deliver. Like living with a person or a partner which you're not compatible with is just like living with a topic. So that's how I
Yes.
would just encourage my students, that look for your interest, but complement your interest with something which can be operationalized and which
Yes.
also attracts a good read for the audience. So this is
Very
what
well
I
said.
believe.
Yeah, very well said, Dr. Sana. Thank you very much for your nice comment. And this is what I usually refer in the different workshops and the classes, that choose your topic wisely and choose your supervisor wisely, because they will be there for a longer period and you have to be in line with them, and you will be motivated or demotivated because of these two prime factors. So thank you very much for the this answer. Okay, there is one interesting question which I would like all of you four speakers to answer and respond on that. So I would start with the Dr. Shahab. The question is that what is the role of research group? Since in Pakistan we are lacking culture of research group. So what to do if it is so important?
Yeah, firstly, let me comment on those conferences and workshop. It's not expense. I think this is investment basically. I mean, it's
Yes.
if you are
Very nice
attending
input.
some
Yes.
conferences and you are spending some money, this is investment. This is not an expense because
Investment on yourself. Yes.
yeah, because it will
Yes.
pay off you in future, right? Something that you're
Very right.
investing in and you will
From
get
whose
fruits
pocket?
later on. So
Yes.
all right, that's related to that one. Okay, research groups. Uh, we did discuss that, the mentor, the groups, the people who surround you are very important. They
Yeah.
will push you at times you are down because it's a long journey, right? If you're doing PhD 3 4 years, even in Pakistan, it's 5 6 years, right? So well amount of time you have to spend, and there's a lot of stress as well in between. So you need people who can push you through when you're down, right? So the groups are very important. uh, Dr. Sana can comment as well because there are few groups at cust,
Yes.
research groups at cust. I haven't found in Bahria or maybe another university, but I do know there are some
True.
research group at Cust, and I think she is a member of those groups as well. And you know, you bring in synergy to when you get together. You everyone can bring in their strength. Someone is good in like writing introduction. Someone is good in methodology. Someone good in
Yes.
software. So when you get together, you learn from each other, right?
Yeah.
You learn, you share. I think that's what. And always, in PhD, the supervisor always say us that don't be isolated, right? Don't
Yeah.
just sit in your own room and do work. You need to see people, discuss with others, get different perspective to your topic. uh, I think that's where these groups are very helpful in bringing in synergy and motivation.
Yes.
That's how I think, that's my point on this.
Okay, Dr. Sanam, please shed some light on this since you have been associated with the different research group, particularly in the CUST, and now you are working in Bahria University, and I'm sure you are in collaboration with the different researchers as well. So, yeah, do you think we have the lack of a research culture group? And if yes, what are the possible reasons and what to do to overcome this
Oh,
problem?
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Dr.
Dr.
Sana, you are
Sanam.
not
What
audible.
I would like to say is that first of all, we should be satisfied with this thought that even if I associate myself with a group, with a research network, my individual identity is not at cost. Trust yourself with that. We have our different strengths and we have our different weaknesses. I cannot be master of everything. You should
Right.
know what my colleagues are good at. Gee, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, yes, you are audible. Carry on, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, carry on, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what I wanted to add is that leverage the effect of network. There is something which is called a domino effect. जहाँ पे we can find out it's contagious. So be a part of a network. Try to understand what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. Together you can club. You can have research projects, you can just share it among your group and you can set deadlines. So what I would suggest that you cannot survive in a closed room. You will have to be a part of a network. This is good for you professionally as well and for your own individual growth as well. My personal opinion is try to indulge yourself in any research network.
Mm, very right,
Let it
very
be
right.
online, let it be at your workplace. And what I would also add into it is that at your workplace, it is very important to have the research culture which works in group. So a
Yeah,
collectivist approach towards having network and understanding the domino effect of it is very important. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you very much for your nice answer. Okay, I will come to the Madam Sobia Shujar. That if you see, we are working together in a project as well on a papers together. But that is what the individual efforts. Like I'm working with you, I'm working with the Dr. Shahab, and we previously worked as well. So that is what a kind of personal efforts we put to make a research group. Why don't we have the research group at university or institutional level? And what do you suggest to the people that how can they create a research group in order to grow?
Okay, I think this is one challenge many universities are facing. They do have formal research group, but those research groups are not as active as they are supposed to. But again, it is us, the individuals, who need to activate them. We cannot sit and wait that the research groups will become active and then we will become a part of it. We have to be the initiators, we have to activate them, we have to network with relevant people. Like Dr. Shahab said and Dr. Sana said, that we have to find the right people. Everyone is not master of all. So you have to see if you are good at writing literature or reviewing literature, find out a person who is good at conducting analysis for you. find a person who can write the introduction part for you, so that is going to reduce your workload also, and you can have expert opinion, expertise in different domains relevant to your research.
Yes, very nicely said. And this is the beauty that all of us are not master of everything, and one is more expert in doing the things, particularly what Dr. Shahab referred as, for example, doing analysis. It's a very technical part. So the person who is more expert, they will give their expert opinion on that, and this way the paper they become more polished, and it's ready for the publication as well, because it will get refined with the passage of time. Okay, lastly, I come to Dr. Maiza. Since we have spent a lot of time in Malaysia, we have been part and associated with the different research groups over there, and it is quite developed in that perspective that we find projects over there, we find research groups easily over there. So what you have to say on that? That what do you recommend? What is the proper role of research group? As we have discussed, all of the speakers discussed that it's very important to work in collaboration because we learn from each other. It's a two-way process, and in Malaysia, it's quite good that they are going quite good. But what do you recommend further for us?
Okay, yeah, I'm not really sure what is the situation in Pakistan, but in Malaysia, research group is quite established at different level, at the university level, also at the national level, whereby we have kind of groups whereby each universities PhD students, they form a group from a different institutions, and they help each other, and that's quite good basically, because when we are having a research group, we meet someone from different culture, different background, different knowledge, different field, so we can help each other emotionally. We, because PhD is basically a long and lonely journey. People say that, so it's quite true. So you need
Yeah,
support behind you
yeah,
to push you forward. So that's the role of research groups.
true.
So that's why,
Yeah,
um, if there is lacking of research group in your area, in your country, so what you can do is you need to initiate something. All right, you need to form at least a small group first, then you'll invite
yes,
others to join and to be participative, active, and support each other in a way that by having people around us, we're able to motivate ourselves to reach the common goals.
yeah, wonderful. Very well explained, Dr. Maiza. I hope they will get the answer of that thing. Okay, let me just ask the question which is repeatedly asked by the different students, and very interesting question as well. They want to ask that whether PhD is a full time or it's a part time. Treat PhD like a job, 3 to 40 hours a week, or we can do it as a part time as well. So I will start from the Dr. Shahab, since he has worked for a long time with the corporate sector in banking industry, 10 years. It's a very it's a kind of 1 decade. So he would be in a better position to tell us that what to do, whether people should go for a part-time PhD or they should go for the full-time PhD student, because they have to sacrifice a lot of their time and their money, etc., if they become the full-time student. Yes, your comment on that, please.
Right. So if you want to bring in the part-time quality to your PhD, the part-time quality to your skills, then it can be a part-time sort of thing. But I think I would recommend that it should be a full-time activity because these 3 4 years. The important thing is how much time you spend during these 3 years um,
Yes,
to enhance your skill level and your knowledge because you will not be getting this time again, right? Once you
yeah,
have a degree, people will judge you that you are a PhD. You should have a minimum level of skills and knowledge, right? So these 3 4 years are very important. And normally, I've seen students spending 14 16 hours in a day, right? And at the end of the day we see the quality they bring in after their degrees, right?
yeah,
So if you're spending 3 4 5 years 5 hours in a day and someone is spending 14 16 hours in a day, so there will be hell of difference between those two individuals, the quality will be, much more different. So I think it should be a full-time activity. I mean, if you want to justify your PhD and you want to master things and you want to bring in skills and knowledge at the end of your PhD, I think it should be a PhD. Otherwise, it will be maybe you get a degree, but I think you will be below par on your skills. So maybe you will be struggling when you go try to join the industry or academia. So the better is to go for full time.
Full time. Okay, thank you very much for your answer. Okay, what's your take on that, Dr. Maiza? Whether we should go for full time or part time PhD?
Okay. Whether you are doing it part-time or full-time, you should take it as a full-time job. Because you know what? Once you are enrolled into a PhD students, into a PhD study, once you are a PhD student, you will keep thinking about it, and the PhD itself will keep hunt you down. You know, um, let me share with you my experience. I did my PhD full time. Um, but although people will say that if you are doing full time, you have a lot of time to complete your study because you are not tied to jobs and so on. But PhD study is not, it's not without its challenge. So meaning that there are few hurdles, there are few challenges that you have to face, you have to go through before you reach that the end point. So you need to have you need to dedicate yourself to the PhD study. So that's the reason
Yeah,
why I said that PhD is a full-time job. Even
yeah,
during just to share my experience during my PhD study, even though I'm watching a cinema, I'm watching a movie at the cinema, I keep thinking about my study. I keep thinking about my thesis. Even in your dreams while you are sleeping, sometimes you will keep thinking about your thesis. That's true, basically.
yeah.
So that's the reason
Very true.
why
The nightmares of
you
PhD.
need to dedicate.
Yes. Yeah. Very well
Well,
said. Yes, Dr. Sana, you comment on that, please.
Dr. Sana, there is distortion in your voice.
Yeah, there is some problem with her network, I think. Okay, we take the comment of Ms. Sobe Shujat, and then we come back to the Dr. Sana again. Okay, Madam Sobe Shujat, since you have the experience of working as well, and then you have a family to look after at the same time, you have to look for your thesis, and you are working on research papers as well. So how do you manage all these things? And please share your experience. How do you keep yourself motivated and dedicated, because you have a lot of responsibility along with your study, and you are perfectly doing it as well. So that's why my eagerness, that how do you manage, and please share your tips with the students.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heather. I respect Dr. Shahab's perspective, but on the same time, I have my own thought process.
Okay.
I'll say that PhD, one could do PhD as part time as well. Like I'm pursuing it. It
Yeah,
depends on multiple factors. One is
true.
the resources available to you. Second is the individual attitude, motivation, skills while taking that job. So one person can do multiple tasks at the same time, and I'm sure all of us are performing multiple tasking. So
Yeah,
it only depends on each individual skill. If a student is not able to conduct research and do job or take both the tasks according at the same time, then definitely that student need a gap from work and dedicatedly complete his thesis or his PhD. But
right.
yes, I am doing multiple tasks. I'm also associated with different organizations. I also take time for my research papers. I have impact factor publications also, and I have numerous HEC recognized publications also. So I one very important thing is how you manage time. Time management becomes important when you are multitasking. So
Yes.
I have set goals for myself. Yes, I won't be able to complete it in 3 years, but I'm sure I'll be able to do it in 5 years. So it is all about prioritizing. One has
Yes.
to prioritize and one has to allocate resources to each task that he is performing or she is performing. So
Yeah.
I have dedicated some time. Okay, I have to complete this time by so and so. I have set deadlines for myself, and then I try to accomplish those deadlines.
Yes.
Yes, on the same hand, we require some kind of entertainment also. A scholar
Okay.
has to keep his mind fresh. He has to go out for movies also, like Dr. Maisa said.
Yeah.
Okay, she went for a movie. That
Yes.
entertainment is must. If one do not have any entertainment, going out with friends, socializing, giving time to families, these are all those breaks that we require from work or from
True.
PhD. So
Yeah.
I think that is one very important thing. Yes, now, if I say that going for a full time PhD, and there may be many students and research scholars who want to continue their job and they want to pursue PhD degree. So, maybe one thought is that if we say full time, then the doors would be closed for them and they would continue job and they would not be able to pursue higher studies. So one can go simultaneously continue with, but like Dr. Maisa said, okay, it should, one should take it as a full time job. So if you do not take PhD seriously, then definitely is a problem.
Yeah, very nicely answered. Wonderful. The points which you have highlighted is very wonderful point, and that's what we discussed in the last roundtable discussion. That set the mini goals in order to achieve your goal of PhD, because PhD is not that simple. And you have summed up very nicely that one has to work and one has to make the priority list. What are your priorities, and then accordingly you justify that and give it a time. And no doubt, above everything is you, that you enjoy this journey and have a fun of that journey. Don't take it as a stressful journey. So PhD is all about discovering, and why don't you just enjoy this journey? We enjoyed it even though we had a lot of stress at that time, but now we have very sweet memories of that, because we learned a lot and it was a wonderful journey over there. Okay, so Dr. Sana, can you hear us? I, I think there is an issue with her network. Okay, Dr. Sana, we come back to you later. Okay, let me just put another very important question, which a lot of students they are asking, and repeatedly they are sending messages and emails, that because they are very concerned on that. So the question is, I would like to take the all of you point on that. That what does future hold for upcoming PhDs? Concern about future. I mean that they want to ask what would be the future of PhD, because a lot of PhD graduate they are coming out, and soon there would be market saturation for that purpose. So what does their future hold for them? Okay, I start with the Dr. Shahab.
I think the future depends upon the present, right? And the first the first question is why you want to do it to start with,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So you need to explore yourself first before you jump into PhD. Whether I mean you should do a PhD or not. That's the first question to be asked. Now, if you say yes, I should go for a PhD. Now, the second question is where you want to place yourself. So how much hard work you do, how much skills and knowledge you bring at the end of the day. Because yes, there's competition. So just having a degree, even in Pakistan, just having a degree. I mean, there are a lot of people come with the degrees nowadays, right? So the
Yes.
criteria is getting tough and tough now, right? So a lot of people have piece of paper, they are qualified, they have a PhD. Now, what else you bring along with your degree? Do you have that knowledge? Do you have that skills? Do you have that sort of publication? Like now people are asking about impact factor publication as well in Pakistan, right? So before you jump in, you have as individual, you have to think about your strengths and weaknesses, where you want to see yourself after 5 years or 10 years. So accordingly, you have to plan, and you have to be, you know, among the best here. Don't try to be uh, down in the pyramid, right? Try to be different from others. That's why I was asking during PhD, how much time you give to your study is very important, right? If you will give more time to your PhD, you will be more skillful, you will be more knowledgeable, right? If you are giving less time, that's a shortcoming straight away, right? So yeah, if you're not giving that much time which is required at least, right? So you will be below par in terms of quality, then you will be struggling at the end of the day. Even if you get a degree, right, maybe you're struggling with the required knowledge or skills, you don't have publication stuff. So I think as an individual you should decide, I mean, where you want to place yourself, and do your hard work. Hard work always pays off, as we believe, right? So if you have done these things right, I think you will end up in a good way at the end of the day.
Yeah, very nicely said, Dr. Shahab. And this is what you said. They try to create the difference. Your uniqueness is actually your reward. That how much you are unique and the way you perform the different activities in different way, that would actually make the different of you. Okay, Dr. Maiza, what do you have to say on that? A lot of PhD students in Malaysia, a lot of foreigners over there, a lot of people are getting degrees from there. As Dr. Shahab said, that a lot of people are getting piece of paper. I like the phrase piece of paper. It means that you are not learning something, but you are just getting the degree. So getting the degree and earning the degree too, I think, is a different thing. So what you have to say? How do you see the future of PhDs, doctor?
Okay, this is quite interesting. I will say that there are three options. Yeah, three options that the future holds for PhD student. The first one, if you are looking into an academia world, so I would suggest you to further your study into a postdoc. All right, whereby by having a postdoctoral degree, so you are you are far behind you are far from competitors, from your peers. So you have more exposures, you can have more experience, you can attach to any universities which may be your future employer. That's one thing. If you are looking for non-academics world, so there are many options. Basically, you can join industrial research team. All right, there are lots of industries who are currently looking for a PhD degree to conduct research in a proper way, so that they could learn so that they could improve the industry, the company. In
Yeah,
addition to that, during your PhD study, you learn a lot. You learn a lot for skills, self-management skill, analytic skill, motivation, oral and written communication skills. So you learn a lot during that PhD journey. So you have something, you have more skill compared to others. So you need to be able to place yourself in a in a in a in a in a better place for you. So if you are looking for non-academics world, so you need to be able to identify at which area, at which industry that's suitable with the skill and with the field that you are currently in. And the third
yeah,
one is do nothing. Because you know what? Not everybody's doing PhD uh, because they want to, they want to further something. Sometimes people do PhD because of achievement. I have students who are already retired, but he wants to do PhD because it's a achievement for him. So yeah, that would be wonderful, you know, um, for to having these kind of options.
yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Maiza. Very nice comment on that. Dr. Sana, can you hear us? Dr. Sana, can you hear us? I think there's a problem with that. Okay, we take the point of view of Madam Sobya Shujat, that since you are a multitasker, you are doing so many things simultaneously. So, what do you recommend to the people? They should be doing the same thing, or what do you recommend that they should go for
I
the
think
full
there's
time?
some.
Yes, your take, please. Madam Sobya Shujat,
Uh,
please.
okay, if I'm correct, you mean to ask that should everyone go with multitasking or one task at a time?
Yeah, yeah. So that their future could be secure as a PhD doctor. Since we are discussing
I
that,
think Dr. Heather is not audible. Am I right about it, or?
uh,
Is
Dr.
audible.
Sana, we can hear you.
But
Dr. Sana, we can hear you. Okay, let me take
okay, I think
the
we can
comment
carry
from,
on with the discussion with the
yeah,
previous question,
yeah.
that
Let
whether
me
the
just take
PhD,
yeah,
what is the future of the PhD holders? So the future, for just like we plan every career,
yeah,
a banker plans his career, a doctor plans his career. So a PhD holder should also plan his career.
yeah.
Whether this
All,
should be he wants to get into teaching, he wants to pursue research and development. So, in the same way, a PhD holder should also plan. He or she should be very clear that whether they want to get into teaching. If yes, then I have seen PhD holders who come back with a 0 day of working experience, like from college, university, and nothing. They haven't been working for a single day. So the future holds, of course, everyone works for an earning. This is I think the reality of our life, that we need to generate income from whatever we are studying. So for that reason, you need to associate yourself with a university as an adjunct faculty, or with a professor, or you should start working. So what I believe is that the future is there, but you should also build your profile. And
okay,
profile building for a PhD holder is a combination of a lot of things. It is publication, it is your work experience, and of course, it is communication and presentation. You should be able to present yourself. You might be having a PhD degree, you might be have a list of publications, but if you're not able to explain what you have been doing all these 5 to 6 years, so I think the perspective actually is different. We should now take a different perspective from an employer's perspective.
right.
So it's not only a PhD degree, it's also a perspective of an employer, that what is he is actually looking for in a PhD holder.
Yeah,
Ji sir.
very nicely said, perfectly said. So even what you have said, we can sum up in the way that how do you polish yourself and how good you are and how what kind of traits you develop during your PhD that will help you in getting a good secure job. And that's what Madam Sobya Shujat also refers to be a multitasker, and she has been doing it. So my previous question was the same, that one should be a multitasker during the PhD in order to secure his or her job. Yes, madam, your comment on that, please.
Dr. Heather, are you referring to me?
Yes, Madam Sobya Shujat, please.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Multitasking is important, but multitasking is not mandatory. Multitasking definitely would depend on an individual, how capable one is for multitasking, and what is the requirement. Is there requirement for multitasking, or multitasking just for the sake of multitasking?
Yeah,
If one is pursuing PhD, then definitely there would be some requirement that one has to perform. For instance, a PhD scholar has to be a researcher also. So not only completing PhD and completing his thesis, but simultaneously he has to build connection,
yeah,
create networking, do some groundwork for collecting data, make research groups, publish papers. That is very important, because at the end of day, if you just get a degree but you do not have any research experience in terms of publication, then it would become difficult for you as an academician also, particularly if you are an academician. Like Dr. Sana said, okay, what are your future goals? That would also determine, okay, what should you go with. Is it your career progression, a requirement for your career progression, or it's just for the sake of acquiring a prefix with your name?
Yes, very nicely said. And one should be polishing, and one should look after the skills. And one, how can one contribute to the field, and all these things matter a lot. So I hope they will get advantage of what you people have recommended. Okay, well, we have very interesting comment, particularly for Dr. Shahab. Dr. Shahab, people are tracing you and they are tracking your what you say. One of the PhD student, he's asking question from you that in the last roundtable discussion you had said that PhD is not for everyone. So now his question is, what makes you right candidate for a PhD or research? What skills do you need to be a right candidate for a PhD? So it means
I
people are, yeah, people they are following Dr. Shahab. Whatever you say, people take it very seriously.
I think the best advice is explore yourself, right? Know your strength, know your passion, right? If you have a passion to for research, you go for it, right? But
Yeah.
if you're good at something else, do something else.
Yes.
Don't do because others are doing. Don't do because
Yes.
your friends are doing, right?
Mm.
Don't do because your peers are pushing you in, right?
Very true.
So just if you are passionate, yes, you should go ahead and do it. If you are good at something else, you should do something else, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I said last time as well, a lot of PhDs are employed by a graduate honor. So I mean, in world we
Hmm.
see a lot of different things. So we should have an open mind to the things, and we need to explore ourselves where we are good, where we can make a contribution. So that's how I think the decision should be whether one should go into PhD or not.
Yeah.
Even we have, I would like to add here, we have
Yes,
seen
please.
people who start their PhD and they leave their PhD in between. So that means
Yeah.
that they did not give a proper thought to starting with a PhD, and they just started without thinking and realizing that either they
Yeah.
should start, and then they get to know that they do not have enough time from their job, or
Yes.
maybe their interest is different, or they cannot continue with, maybe due to any reason. So it is very important, I second Dr. Shahab, that one should first decide, dedicate, and then dedicatedly work on achieving that goal.
If
Yeah.
you if you
Very nicely
look
said.
if you look into the dropout ratio, how many students enroll and how many students
Yes,
end
Yes,
up with doing
finally.
a PhD. Maybe
Yeah.
it's 70% people are drop in between. Now, what it shows is that people have a poor planning when they enter into
Yeah.
PhD. They haven't planned. They didn't knew what they are entering into, right? So
yes.
that's where the mistake comes in. So you before
True.
you start, you should give a long and hard thought whether you should do it or not.
And we
Yeah.
have seen that those 70% who get dropped, many of them are not academicians or researchers, because those who are
True.
academicians and those who are researchers, they are very focused and they have decided and they have that career progression, and then they try hard to accomplish that goal. So very
Yes.
that is thought provoking for the practitioners, that either they should go for a PhD or it is not a requirement.
Yeah, and it means that our interest, our motivation, all these things matters a lot. Sometimes we
Yes.
do it just to get the title of doctor, what we discussed last time, that people do it for that purpose. Some people say that we will get the knowledge out of a PhD, but once they are in the process of research, they come to know how hectic and how difficult it is, and then they quit. And what you said rightly, that practitioners they mostly come and they try to start PhD, but in between they get stuck and then they leave the PhD. So your interest that matters a lot, your motivation that matters a lot, and what previously Dr. Shahab and Dr. Maiza said, your surrounding is very much important. You are surrounded by what kind of people. The researchers, you will learn a lot from them, and you will go ahead with that. But if you are surrounded by the banking managers, etc., so your priorities will be different in that
Yes.
perspective. So your
However,
that
we have
matters a
also
lot.
seen, Dr. Heather, we have also
Yeah.
seen practitioners who bring up a
Yes.
very thorough knowledge with them, and they have that thirst for knowledge, and they
Yes.
complete
True.
PhD in a very good way, and they add
Yeah.
value to the corporate. So again,
Yes.
cases are there.
Yeah, very much exceptional cases are there, and they have their personal inclination towards curiosity to learn
Yes.
and to eagerness to learn to conduct a research, and that is very much important. Yeah, Dr. Sana, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, Dr. Sanat, there is one very interesting question, very tricky question. I would like all of you to comment on that. The question is, and it is repeatedly asked by the student all the time because they get confused with that phrase. Let me just tell you, what is the role of supervisor, a guide or trainer? Is supervisor not a teacher? Because teacher, they teach everything, but supervisor, they don't teach everything. Your comment
Yes.
on that, please.
The role of supervisor is, of course, that cannot be ignored. In fact, we can term him someone as a driver who is driving you towards the achievement of your goal. But this totally depends how the supervisor is carrying up his relationship with his student. So that is
Yeah,
different for every individual. Every
yeah.
supervisor has their own style, but yes, the supervisor is someone who, of course, I will not say that he will hold your finger and will guide you on every each and every step, because he can only show you this is the way and this is what you're supposed to do. So this is
True.
the path you have to take. I can see there are a lot of students listening to us. Sometimes there are some very unrealistic expectations from the supervisor. The student believes that supervisor is going to do everything. No, the
Yeah,
supervisor is not going to do everything. He will just tell you this is what you're supposed to do.
yeah,
You can reach out to your supervisor for help. He is there to help you, he is there to guide you. Of course, he is jointly uh, owning that topic with you, that research work. He has his name with you, he or she has his name with you. But the role of supervisor is like a mentor to you. He is the one who should actually keep you on the track.
yes. Very
he should
nicely said.
identify he should identify when you are slipping down, when you are deviating. He should just pluck out the negative thoughts like a weed from it, and he should be there to show you the right path, just to stay on it. But I would again ask the students, don't have unrealistic expectations from the
Yeah,
supervisor. So
yeah.
the relationship
So,
is very strong. I think people should take it as it.
yeah. So, can we sum up in a way that you are referring to a supervisor as a guide or trainer?
Yes, guide, a trainer, a mentor.
Yeah. So it means that once we go to the different training session, the trainer just train us how to carry out different activities, but he would not hold our finger to do it in front of him. So the same role goes to the supervisor that he will
True.
show us the path. We have to
Yes,
walk the path, right?
we have to, exactly. You're the one who will walk the path. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I would add here, Dr.
Please,
Heather, that
please,
this
please.
is what I initially said, that a PhD scholar has to be ready for starting PhD. If a PhD
Yes,
scholar expect that the supervisor is going to teach him the methodology, will tell him what is convenient sampling, will tell him what is maybe philosophy of research, so that is not realistic. Yes, students
yes,
should have prior knowledge, the basic
yes.
knowledge to start with PhD program.
Yeah, very nicely said. And this is what we call the preliminary literature review, so that they could know that what is going on in the field and their interest and motivation could be developed with that perspective. Very nicely said.
Yes.
Okay, we have one question for Dr. Maiza. Dr. Maiza, the question is very interesting. They ask about the that what is the culture in Malaysia regarding the supervisor criticism? Do they take personally or not, and how to cope with them?
Alright, this is quite interesting questions.
Yeah,
But before that, I would like to add something based on the previous questions on the supervisor's
sure.
role. I agree with Dr. Sana and Ms. Sobia's opinion on the role of supervisor. I would like to add
Yes,
something in terms that that's the reason why a potential student, should contact the potential supervisor prior to enroll into a PhD journey, because
yeah,
you need to work with someone who are able to accommodate you in a way that if you are a fast learner, so your supervisor also need to be, fast responding to your emails, to your to any communication with you. She or he also need to have, the same field of knowledge. So you should be able to contact your potential supervisors first, and don't rely on the faculty, on the university to appoint a supervisor to you, because if you are not lucky enough, the supervisors appointed by the university or the by faculty might not, in the same opinion with you, in the same character with you, because different supervisor have different style, different way to guide the students. Talking about the culture of criticism of supervisor, about supervisory in Malaysia, it depends, based on individuals. But basically, supervisor and students is a professional relationship. All right. If there is any, um, any issues between the supervisor, so there is you need to go through to go through a right channel in order to solve the problem. For example, let's say you've been assigned a supervisor, and then you are having problem with that supervisor, and you feel that you feel that the problem will not solve because the supervisor is not in the same opinion with you. So what you can do is that you need to contact with the faculty, with the university, ask politely to change your supervisor, but you need to ensure that this is done in a proper way, in a correct way, because we never know. Perhaps one day, that person, your ex-supervisor, might be your examiner for your viva, or you might, cross path in the near future. So that's one thing. Another thing is that when we talk about criticism, as a PhD students, when we have opinion which might be different from your supervisor, you can take a different opinion from others. All right, because when you have influence from others, different opinion from other person, um, the perspective may change. So try to deal with all the issues, with all the problems in a correct way. All right, that's from me.
Yeah, thank you very much for your nice comment. Okay, we got another very interesting question. That is, what if your interest topic is at clash with your supervisor? Then what to do? I mean, mostly we say that our supervisor, they are the expert, they know the field properly than us, and they know the research gap, contribution, all these things. But once your supervisor at clash with you during your topic selection, then what strategy they should adopt? Yeah, we start with the Dr. Shahab, and then we ask every speaker, because it's very tricky question, because you cannot get angry your supervisor at your early stages as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's a long journey and it should be smooth, right? So
Very
if
right.
it should not be a bumpy track, right? Otherwise there'll be problems. So try to keep
Yeah.
smooth. If there's a clash, if you are good enough, if you're confident enough about your topic, you can convince the supervisor. He will
Yeah.
he will always accept your point of view, because at the end of the day, this is your study. You should own it, and you will be master, of the subject at the end of the day, not the supervisor. You will be the one who will defending the thesis, right? So it's not that supervisors gonna impose something on you, no. If you're confident about whatever you have selected, then you can convince the supervisor. And I think um, the supervisor should agree, if you have been able to convince him with logic and with, again, the question is how much work you have already done, right? To, because otherwise you will not be able to convince him. So if
Yes.
you're confident, you have done good homework, you have done literature review and something like that. So you can convince him. I think the supervisor might not be that stubborn that he should not accept.
Yeah. Okay, very nicely said. Okay, let me just take the comment of Dr. Sana on that. What to do in such a hard situation when your supervisor is not agreeing with you on the topic? What to do?
Well, the scenario which Dr. Heather has actually pointed out, the stakes are high. I mean, you
Yeah,
cannot afford to get start the relationship with your boss or your supervisor with a difference in opinion. Um,
true.
I call it as a difference of opinion, but the supervisor might term it as a conflict. For me, it's a
Yeah,
difference of opinion, but for a supervisor, it might be a conflict. So for a student, he or she should work out for the solutions before they go
yes,
out to the supervisor. Whenever you come up with an idea, you should know, how am I going to defend it? Just like
yes,
it's a very normal phenomena where we have to do a lot of selling. So one more point is, in PhD, in research, you have to do a lot of selling. So just go with this idea that you have to convince. So two things will happen: either the supervisor will overpower you, maybe the
yes,
supervisor convinces you, or you will convince the supervisor. What I would suggest is that never create dead ends. The
yeah,
supervisor shouldn't be that much stubborn, which I believe they are not, and the students should not be stubborn. Sometimes the students are just very stubborn with it, that no, this is what I'm going to do. There are always ways to find out some mid ground. Within the same area, you can just come up with some other idea, or the supervisor can guide you, that the scope and the periphery can remain the same in whatever you do. So I would not say that it's a win-win situation. Be prepared for that. It might not be a win-win situation. Sometimes it might be a compromise situation, but at least the students should not give up, and the students should try to convince. If you cannot convince a supervisor, how are you going to convince the panel? How are you going to convince those people who are going to read your work?
yeah,
So this means you might be lacking something that you cannot even convince your supervisor. So first, I would suggest that go with a solution, and the solution is your preparation. You should know, why am I doing it, and what is the logic behind it, what is actually driving me towards this idea. And then
yeah,
a mid ground is always a safe area. I think when you are able to find a mid ground, then it's actually a win-win situation for both.
yeah. Very nicely said. And this is how one should be doing it. And okay, so sometimes we refer that yes, the individual they have more insights. So why don't to go along with them? But what you both have referred is what I can conclude is that go with the evidence, go with the strong argumentation. That why do you think in that way, and then how can you pursue your PhD supervisor in this regard? Okay, Dr. Maiza, please your take on that.
I second Dr. Sana and Dr. Shahab's opinion. That's particularly true. Basically, you need to prepare yourself before you meet your supervisor. And if there is, different opinion, different, different kind of topics that you're currently working on, so you need to make sure at what stage you're currently in. And there are situations whereby the student keep changing the topic because once they look at that particular research, they found out they found out that there is no gap in that particular area. So the student change the topic frequently, which makes the supervisor feels, not very interested to continue with the same student, something like that. So that's the reason why the students need to be consistent. And if anything happen between the supervisors and the student in terms of the arguments, in terms of the content, the topics of your research. So try to find a solutions which beneficial to both of sides. For example, if the students are working on a topic on a qualitative study, for example, but the supervisors is not really the qualitative is not forte of that particular supervisor. So what he or she can do is that try to appoint another co-supervisor which may help with that particular topic, so that might be able to solve that particular problem. So yeah, I agree with Dr. Sana and Dr. Shahab's opinion basically.
Yeah, nicely said, Dr. Maiza. Thank you very much. Okay, finally, we take the comment of Ms. Sobri Shujat. Yes, please.
You,
Your
you,
Dr.
mic,
Yeah.
your mic is good, please.
I think the point is being nicely described by all the pertinent speakers. Uh, I go with all of them. However, I would like to add here that students should not pick a topic in all this conflict or during all this conflict. They should not take a topic that is being enforced on them, because like Dr. Shahab earlier said, and Dr. Sana, that they have to live with that topic for a long duration. So it is very important that the topic is motivating for them, is interesting for them, is relevant for them. That is the key. And definitely then they should know how to convince the supervisor, or if there are some suggestions from the supervisor, they should try to incorporate them as well,
Yeah.
not moving from the scope of the study. So that I think would summarize it.
Okay, very nicely said. Thank you very much. Okay, there is one another MPhil student question which is very common and we face a lot. They say that data collection is a hectic task in Pakistani culture. Respected speaker, would you please guide and suggest something special in this regard? Yes, Dr. Shahab.
even if it's tough, but one have to collect the data because studies needs to be backed with some empirical evidence at the end of the day. That's what scientific research is all about. Well, what we can do in Pakistan, like we people are very much socially connected, right? So if you use different references, I think that's really helps in
Okay.
data collection. Um, you can ask your friend, teachers, colleagues, peers, right? So I think if you communicate with your close groups, and then
Yeah.
they can spread the questionnaire, whatever. I mean, if you're doing survey or something, it will help you in data collection. I
Yeah.
think that's
Very
the
nice.
way to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfectly answered.
I,
Okay.
I would like to add here, Dr. Heather, it is very
Please
important
go
when
ahead.
students they are finalizing their topics. At that time, we guide them that please select a topic, make sure that the research instrument is available to you, and make sure that it is easy to collect the data. So at that
Yes.
time, it is very important that you decide that what would be your sample and how you are going to get them, because if you start with a topic and you are not concerned with the methodology, particularly about data collection, because that becomes difficult, so you have to be concerned at that particular stage that how you are going to collect data.
Yeah, very nice and valid point. Yeah, one should consider at the time of the selecting the topic and how the methodology would fit on that and how they are going to get the research objectives and research question addressed. Yeah, very
Very
nice
true.
team. Thank you very much.
And many researchers today, students, they are collecting data through Google Docs. So there are
Yes,
ways that they could make your
utilize.
life easy. And
Yes,
like Dr. Shahab said, that your FNF friend and family, those circles, they could help you out in gathering data.
yes, very nice.
Actually,
Very
networking is the key. In
yeah,
data
Yes,
collection, networking is the key. Before you
yes,
approach any organization, make sure, I know this is difficult, make sure you know someone who is going to help you out.
yeah,
If I say that just go for it blindly, is going to be a lie. You should
yes.
be open towards what are the truths of, or what is actually the
The
tips of
pragmatic
data
review.
collection.
Yes,
Yes, exactly.
yes,
So if just connect yourself to someone, make sure if I connect to one person, at least one person can help me get 15 to 20 responses. So
yes,
this is how a snowball effect would be created, and
yeah,
make sure you do not rely on one person or only one organization for the responses.
yes,
Try to reach out for multiple organizations within the same sector. So this
yes.
might help a bit.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this is what we should be doing. And you have raised very interesting point, because data collection is very much important, because our conclusion, our findings, all that would depend on the data collection. If we collect the data from the right people, only then it would be a contribution to the field. If we are collecting data from the people who are just easily available to us, so that would not serve the purpose of doing a research. So data collection is a very important stage, and we should be very carefully look after all activities. Okay, the student, they are getting very conscious, and they are getting eager that we are discussing very hot issues. So there is one another hot question which they have asked, that since you people are recommending the network and sharing your research activities with the people, so what is the role of the seniors in research? And the question is, if we get opinion of others too much, it means we are taking their likes and dislikes. What you have to say on that? Okay, we start with the Dr. Sana, please.
Uh, I would refer to the second part of it first, where you said that how much opinions should we solicit.
Yeah.
I would suggest don't go for a lot of opinions. This
Okay.
is human nature. Sit with those people who are like minded,
Yes.
who can understand you. The more opinions you are taking, this means you yourself are confused. That is why you are approaching for opinions. This is a very clear understanding of it. I'm very clear about it. And I think the panel would also agree with it that the more opinions you're asking for, actually, you might be getting opinions which may be in clash of what you actually want. What you should do is that make sure you approach the right person. Even I would encourage my students that don't be afraid of reaching out to the right person. If I share my experience, so the basic idea of my work was theory driven. So the person who actually worked on that theory, I emailed him my work. And he told me your idea is very good, but what you should do is that you should narrow down your work. One of my friend approached Hofstede, who is actually the pioneer and who actually worked on culture. Everyone knows him, and he responded
Yes.
to the email. So what we do is that we are continuously asking right and left, irrelevant of who is actually the right person to guide us. So do have opinions, do just make sure that you're on the right path, but do not solicit a lot of feedback, do not ask for a lot of opinions. If you're asking for a lot of opinions, you're landing in some trouble, because they will only confuse you. And I think there was the first part of the question, that what is the role of seniors in guiding or creating the research culture. I think we should not only keep or make our seniors responsible for it. The juniors should be also the one who are gelling with the seniors. Like the senior might not be there, but I think the junior can approach the seniors. The seniors should encourage the juniors that come sit with us. If you have any work, we can share it. So it's vice versa. The juniors should actually approach to seniors. Don't only sit alone and believe that someone will come and approach me. You should go out and reach for help.
Okay, very nicely said. Yeah, thank you very much for nicely answer. Okay, one question which I will ask all of the four speaker, because they are asking about it individually, that how to keep yourself motivated in this long journey, hectic journey. I would not call it is hectic, it's a lovable, but if you love your topic and if you love your supervisor in a positive way. Okay, so I just start with the Dr. Maiza. How to keep yourself motivated in this research journey?
Okay, how to keep your motivation, how to keep going throughout, a minimum of 3 years journey. It's quite difficult basically because PhD is a very long journey. Sometimes you face few hurdles, you face few challenges throughout the study. So to keep your motivations, you need to know what are the reasons you are doing this, why you want to further your study. So that will keep you motivated. For example, if you know that uh, if you know that why you are doing the PhD study, you're able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But if you think that you are doing PhD because others are doing it, you will see you when you face challenges, you might not be able to, solve the problems. You might not be able to see the way how to do it. So yeah, to keep you motivated, you need to make sure that you have the strong focus. You need to have you need to keep yourself um, busy in a way that uh, you need to make sure that you're doing your PhD little by little. Even though you are facing challenges, you need to make sure that you keep going so that um, you are, you are keep progressing throughout your study. So that's one thing.
Very nicely said. And I like the phrase. One of the Chinese scholar said once that if you are going towards your destination, even though you are taking the tiny progress, but step by step, one day you will reach to your destination. So it means that keep going, and then you will be, inshallah, able to get to your destination. Okay, Dr. Shahab, how to keep yourself motivated in this long journey?
Maybe you bring into your mind that if you do a PhD, maybe you'll be rich at the end of the day. No, but that's not a lighter. No, I think that's just to. Okay, I will agree with Dr. Maiza. I think you should look back. Why the first point you enter into a PhD? You should be having some motivation when you enter into a PhD. So look back and um, try to figure out what was your motivation at that time when you enter into PhD, and then bring in that motivation again if you are a bit down. Mentors are very important. You know, people
Yes.
around you are very important. They're gonna help you in this crunch moment when you are down, you're out. You can discuss your issues with your mentor. They can come like if I have done PhD at the end of the day. I think a lot of credit goes to my friends as well because even though initially at one point I was saying that the full-time people should come into PhD. Basically, I wasn't a full-time student as such. I was in a job and side by side I was studying as well. So at time, we feel a lot of pressure and stress because of so many reasons. So that was the time when friends and colleagues, they came up and they said, you can do it, you have done for 1 year, you can do for another 1 year. So you need to break into pieces, right? Like you need to set small targets. Don't
True.
go for the huge targets. Like if you're writing, you can have a target of writing half a page a day, maybe
Huh.
1 page a day, right? So you can break it into small pieces. So these little successes will, at the end of the day, get together and you will achieve your objective, right? So that's how you can motivate yourself. Set a small target, like today, I'll write half a page. Then if at the end of the day you have done half a page, then you will be motivated that today's target I have achieved. Then you can set the target for the next day. Similarly, I think this is the way to keep yourself motivated. Your friends can do. You can set small targets for yourself. You can look back to your initial motivation. Why did you start it? I think these are the few tips that can help you to motivate again.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Shah. Okay, we take the point of view of Mrs. Sobia Shuja. How do you keep yourself motivated in this journey? Because you are going through till now. Yes, please.
I do the same what Dr. Shahab said, that break your bigger task into smaller achievable objectives.
Yeah.
So and then I keep on motivating myself intrinsically and extrinsically. So that intrinsic motivation is always there. Yes, we have to look back where I started from and how far I have come.
Yeah.
So that is one motivation. Okay, okay, I have completed it 90%. Now maybe another 20% is left to achieve. That is one bigger motivation. Beside, yes, very true, surround yourself by positive people,
Right.
those who say yes, you have almost done it, you're almost there. And then intrinsically motivate yourself. Go out with family and friends, socialize, set targets. Okay, okay, once I'm done with data analysis, I'll go and attend a conference outside Pakistan. So again, that is one motivation. I'll go on a trip with family. I'll take, and there could be smaller rewards as well for yourself, like go out for ice cream after this is what I do once I'm very much stressed, and again the task is very challenging. So I say, okay, once this is done, I won't go out
Yes.
even for dining out unless I do not finish this task. So again, that is another motivation. Okay, and I try completing it as soon as possible, just because I've decided that I will have to take my family or my kids out once I accomplish this task. So for those taking out those kids, I have to motivate myself and accomplish that task. So there are numerous methods. And again, yes, very important that who is your motivators. Then again, your supervisor, they motivate you. My supervisor always motivate me, okay, okay, you have almost done it, now it's very little to go. So these are all those motivations, like the previous speakers also mentioned. Take out motivation for yourself, decide target, set goals. This is all motivation for a researcher.
Yeah, wonderful. Very nicely put it in words. And I like the word that you said, that go and socialize. Yeah, after many goals, when you achieve it, whether it is you are doing your, when you are done with the literature review or methodology or data collection stage, even data analysis stage, you just go outside and enjoy. And that's what we had been doing in our PhD time, that we had to celebrate this small win, because we used to think that we have conquered the world by defending the proposal and then going for the candidature defense and all these things, the small seminar conferences. So this is how we do. Okay, now I take the point of view of Dr. Sana. How do you recommend to the student to keep motivated?
Okay, asking me the question at the last is always challenging for me because I have to say something which the speakers haven't
Which
actually
is
gone
what?
through. Yes. So I think
Yes.
you should credit me for this. Okay,
Yeah,
coming towards
definitely.
the response. Um, what I believe, what is going to keep you motivated is the opportunity cost. So,
Yes.
opportunity cost in terms of what you have actually left and what you're going to have it. Suppose if I was doing my PhD, I was working and I was a full-time mother, of course, full-time mother. I was working and I was a mother. So I used to tell everyone that my opportunity cost of PhD is more than you,
Yes.
because I'm working and because I'm leaving my kids behind. So I was very desperate. I cannot even tell you that how desperate I was to complete my PhD. My money was going into it, my time was going into it, and the opportunity cost of sacrificing the family. Of course, I believe if I was supposed to give 100%, I was giving 70 or 80% to the family. So
Yes.
the motivation is different for different people. Maybe after 3 years, the alarms may ring for me. Maybe the alarms may not ring for people even after 5 years or 7 years. So, what is your timeline? What is the opportunity cost? These two things is going to keep you on track. And I would again say there are some people who are very high on the negative affectivity. They actually feel demotivated very quick. So your own personality trait is also going to control the whole situation. So what I would say is that you should. I'm a kind of person who recommends break from monotony. Free yourself from monotony. If you believe it's been 5 days, you're on the same page, leave it. Don't open it
Yes.
for 3 days.
Yeah.
I trust me, when you're going to open it on the fourth day, your mind will be fresh, and something which you couldn't able to write it since 2 to 3 days, you will write it in a day. So I would suggest free yourself from the monotony and take breaks. And make sure
Yeah.
what is the opportunity cost of your PhD. It will always remind you. Just like my fellow colleagues, they had to leave their country. So the opportunity cost of working in Malaysia was to just get done with their degree. So
Yes.
I would suggest the opportunity cost of it will keep you motivated.
Yeah, very nicely said, Dr. Sana. Uh, very important 2 points. Opportunity cost, a very motivating and demotivating factor. When we were abroad, we could. When you were saying that there was an opportunity cost, so I was just reminding myself that how much time I spent over there, and at that time how much I was missing my family. So it was
Yes.
again very difficult time for me as well, because we had a lot of workload, stress of the work, as well as at the same time we were missing our families as well. Yeah. So it's a very nicely said that your personality traits and your opportunity cost that will matter a lot in this long journey. Okay, so finally, we are going to conclude this session. So I would like your concluding remarks and message to the world. So I start with the Dr. Maiza. Dr. Maiza, what is your message to the world as a researcher, supervisor, and as a professional?
Okay, I will say that you have to prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically before you join a PhD program. So you need that. You need to have a strong skill, strong character, strong opinion in order to work with others. And inshallah, throughout the journey, you will develop a lot of skill, leadership skill, analytic skill, oral communication skill, and you will be awarded with PhD at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, very nicely said. Okay, Dr. Shahab, what is your message to the world?
The message is look for your strengths, see your passion, what you're passionate about, and PhD is not the end of the world. I mean, there are a lot of other things. So you have a broader scope to the world, you know. So if you think that you'll be good as a researcher, yeah, you should go and jump into PhD or research. Believe in yourself and do your hard work. And as a Muslim, we believe that hard work always pays off. So probably that's what all is summed up by this verse like "Laysa lil insana illa masra." So man can have nothing but for what he strives for.
Yes.
So that's what we believe in as a Muslim, and I think this verse really sums up everything. Um, that's it.
In
I
one.
have to say.
Yeah, very nicely said and very nicely quoted the reference. So you are a real researcher who just backed the argument with the reference as well. So very nicely put in words. Okay, Ms. Sove Shujat, what is your message to the world as a researcher, professional, and as a scholar as well?
I hope Dr. Sana is fine with me speaking earlier to her.
No,
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with it.
Uh, I will
Thank you,
tell
Dr.
this
Sana.
yeah, later on. Okay, please continue.
Okay. I would just say that please stay positive, stay motivated, and do not wait to enjoy for your PhD to end. You can enjoy while doing PhD or while studying or while conducting research also. To do so, enjoy your today as well. Just do not focus on future and
Yeah.
be thankful for what you have today.
Yes, and that's what you have recommended. Like a philosopher, the philosopher, they always say, be present at a present moment. Do
Yes,
not be indulged in future because no one knows the future.
very
So
true.
enjoy the present moment, and that's what we usually say that in PhD, along with your work, just enjoy your present time as well because that will never come back. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for your nice message. So I lastly I come to Dr. Sana, and why do I come later on at the end? Because I know that she is so rhetoric, a wonderful speaker, and she has a lot of knowledge, and she can always put something different, and she can always add to the discussion. So that's why I usually come to the at the end and ask the Dr. Sana. And since she has been hosting and moderating so many sessions with me, so we have a very good chemistry on that. So please, what is your message to the world as a researcher, as a scholar, and what do you recommend, please?
Okay. What I would recommend is that don't stress yourself a lot. I've seen people who are all the time thinking and all the time into their research, and they're thinking so much that I usually tell them that you're actually overthinking now. So overthinking, please don't overthink. Overthink will damage your confidence. Overthinking will damage your motivation. One more very important point: keep praying for yourself. I don't know how much faith do you have in prayers. I had a lot of faith. I even used to have a dua which I used to recite all the time when I used to feel that my work is stuck. The foreign evaluation has took a lot of time. So with every step, I used to say that no, there must be something, some betterment in it. So don't lose faith that Allah has kept something for you. So do your hard work. But hard work, I believe, I'm a kind of person who believes that hard luck and luck, hard work and luck both works. So for luck, I think you should pray to God and keep your faith in Allah that He will reward you for your hard work. So I believe praying and not overstressing, that might it may sum up your overall journey of PhD.
Yeah, very nicely said, Dr. Sana. And that comes to the end of this session. What a wonderful session with you people. And as I could see that there is a bombardment of messages I'm getting, that it was a wonderful session. It very well explained by the speakers, very helpful, good point, great points. So many comments that even unable to read it because there are so many comments on that. So once again, I would like to thank Dr. Maiza, Dr. Shahab Aziz, Dr. Sana Arus, and Ms. Sobia Shujat for sparing your precious time, and you people are contributing well to the world at large and to the field as well. That you have given a lot of tips and recommendation, and you shared your experiences with the upcoming researchers who will take advantage of all these experiences, and they will enjoy the luxury of not experiencing the same problem which you have already gone through. So I hope this session will be very helpful, and a lot of queries we have addressed for them, and inshallah that will help them to grow much better, and they will become a good researcher, and they will contribute to the field, to the world at large as well. So thank you very much, viewers, for watching this session. Stay tuned with this, and inshallah we'll be bringing more sessions along with these speakers
Sure.
as well, and to contribute to the world. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
thank you.